how long have you been here? Because I've never asked that question to you. I've been here, it's a beautiful spot. How long have you been a part of this location?
Well, this was built in '99.
Okay.
So since the beginning I was here.
Okay.
But we were working on another distillery with my uncles and my grandfather. And that was when I was a teenager. But even before that, we were working on another facility that it was made for 6,000 agaveros.
Wow.
So that's where some of our birthdays were making it.
Yeah.
So since we were kids, we were running on the autoclaves at big autoclaves and running through the facility even when we didn't knew what it was making in there, we were there. So basically my whole life was developed into a facility, one or another.
One or another.
Yes.
That's awesome. That's interesting. Yeah, I've always wondered what the stories. I'm always fascinated by buildings and stuff that are have been around for a long time, the good times, the parties and the events that have happened, family events, or you just through all the different brands and brand owners that you've had walk through the door, right?
Right.
When you developed your first brand, when was that? Hacienda Dior, when was that done? Your first, the Blanco, I guess, or was that not the first brand? For you?
Well, it was the first brand with this distillery.
Okay.
So it was built in '99. It wasn't developed by myself.
Okay.
It was developed by my father.
Okay.
So that is part of the already brands that we own, that we're trying to develop.
Gotcha. Okay.
But we are making new brands.
Okay.
Not only Quintaliza,
Yeah.
one of them probably.
Right. Yeah, definitely.
Working as a team.
Yeah.
But yes, there's another brands that we are still developing. I think when I took place under the direction, well, there's a lot of work to do because obviously the brand had to renew themselves.
Right.
And we're working on that. We're working on having this kind of touch that the new generation will need on a tequila bottle.
Right. It's funny, I've said to you before, I feel that it's an art, right? This is your craft. This is what you put your stamp on, your signature on it. This is something that goes out there, and some brands, they make it and they get huge success, and some brands maybe not so much, but
yes.
At the end of the day, it still has your name on it,
Yes.
What's that like, to have I feel like it's very interesting to see something that's got to be a certain level of proud, right? To have these brands that have done well and I guess represented the distillery well, represented you well, and vice versa, obviously. What's that like? I guess as
you mentioned, I mean, it's a really honor because people start liking the tequila more than usual, and they start having a big picture about what it takes and also what it tastes.
Right.
Because many people doesn't know what a good tequila tastes like. So there's a lot of people out there that believes still that tequila is kind of one of the worst beverage out there.
Right.
When it's not. And when I believe that is one of the most powerful spirits, not only because of the drink, but also because of the history that comes with it. And so I believe that if many people or more people knew about not only the process, but the culture and how it actually make us develop our community, it will grow faster, and the tequila will be on a bigger market share if everybody knows what it means to us.
It's funny, you hit on a really important topic for me because in full disclosure, I hated tequila for the longest time. And it's funny, my friends would give me shots and I'm like, oh, man, no, I don't want tequila. And truthfully, I have had plenty of times where friends have given me shots and I've sneakily spit it back into a beer or somewhere yeah, exactly, 100%. But there's this transition, and I don't know where it, for me, it occurred. We got introduced to a brand that was coming on, that was trying to bring bourbon drinkers and red wine drinkers into the tequila space, and it was a very sweet tequila, and I loved it, and I still do like it. But it's funny how that's been that gateway drug for me. That's gotten into the more traditional style tequilas, and what's led me a little bit into Quintaliza. When did you like have that pivotal like turning point? Like you've been a part of this for so long. Was there like a defining moment where you realized, wow, like tequila, or has that always been what you know? Like has sipping tequila always been just what you know? Or was there a time where you were like, you saw this transition to what was being created, what was being made, where you've tried it and like, and then all of a sudden like you've had it and it was like, wow, this is completely different.
Yes.
You know, you think about that, like there's been, I'm sure you go to different countries and it's, you know, you go to the States, for instance, and the food is somewhat all over the map and it's not that good. And then you go to places, Italy and Mexico, and you have like authentic dishes. And you're like, has this always been this good for you guys? Because it's not that good in the States. So was there that pivotal moment of time, or was it just something you guys have always had great tequila your whole life?
I think it's always interesting to speak about that, because I can see your perspective and how you've been exposed to tequila that is not that great. For me, it's always the same tequila that I've been trying since I was not probably a child, because they didn't let me, but this was, don't tell anybody. They didn't, well, I don't know if it was different with me, because of course, into macho's ideas, you have to drink tequila, right? Okay. But I was a woman, so nobody asked me to drink tequila at all.
Interesting.
But at some point, I realized, obviously, that this was about to be my life. And of course, I made the choice of drinking the tequila to understand what the customers were looking for and how different it was from another spirits. So I started drinking tequila, I don't know, probably at 18. And it was the only reason that I had to drink tequila was actually to help my customers. Right. So that's why I believe the stories that we have are really different. You find a tequila, you didn't like it, you find probably a tequila that you did like it, and find a gate to introduce yourself to a whole new world. And I do believe that this is what projects like Quintaliza helps, right? Because they're pushing a little bit what tequila is, and try to touch those palates that are not into tequila itself, but they do like another areas, another trends, another markets. And this is like a gate for them to arrive to the tequila. And once you are in this dark side, then you can start appreciating what a good tequila tastes like. Probably for many people it's really strong. So when they first try it, it's really strong. But as I can remember, we had always drink tequila just sipping with a lot of water, as my father always told me, just drink a lot of water and that's it. But I was always sipping tequila. So I don't know at what moment the margarita became so popular and everybody started liking it and everybody started with shots and shots and shots. When I find out, it's like, well, that's crazy. That's no, please don't. And then
salt
you start
and the lime and everything.
Exactly.
Everything to taste like everything but the tequila.
Exactly. And even sometimes I can find people that says, when you're drinking tequila, you have to close your nose, drink it, and just swallow it. And it's like, what's the point? Okay, what's the point? Right. So it doesn't make sense to me. But then again, I started working with my mom, and then with my father, and then with my brothers in different areas of the distillery. And then you find out that all reduces to what the customer likes. If you like it, if you don't like it. So yeah, we can teach everything about tequila, but if you don't like it because it's too strong, you won't like it. We can see a lot of difference between what the people used to believe about tequila and right now what people is starting to know about tequila, and they start liking the pure, the 100% agave, etc. So we really appreciate that, but it's always been this way for us.
Has the organic style, has that been, that's somewhat new, I would imagine, right? Or maybe it isn't. I mean, you think about it, over time, organic, I mean, it naturally grows, right?
Exactly.
And I think that, correct me if I'm wrong, but maybe it was the demand that started utilizing maybe more pesticides and chemicals to prevent any kind of issues with the crops. But is that something that is, somewhat new, or, for you to go back to, I guess, what it originally was? I guess it's kind of weird to say that, right?
Yes.
To classify organic as a special feature, I guess, right? Because technically speaking, it should all be organic. It should all be natural, right?
Totally.
But unfortunately, we are in this world of like demand where it kind of limits that. And now organic and natural is like a plus,
Of course.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to speak about my first interaction with the organic.
Okay.
So the first time someone walked into our door and asked for an organic tequila, we were like, doesn't suppose all tequila to be organic?
Right.
And what does it take to be organic?
Right.
So it was an interesting question because they specifically asked for an organic tequila and we didn't knew what it takes. So we started making our research about it, and then we find out a company that certified as organic, any company. So we call them, we ask them to come, and when they arrive, they start making a lot of questions about what do you make in your fields, what are you putting, and everything like that. And they recognize our work as organic without making any changes.
Right.
So if you think about it, the natural way to do it or the Asian way to do it was always organic.
Right.
It is obviously a trend that many people say like it has to be organic. Well, actually you can grow whatever you want organically.
Right.
And yes, if you have a little rush on doing it, then that's when you start putting some chemicals on it.
Yeah.
Since, to be honest, we're not that big, that huge of a company, well, it was natural for us to always start making it that way.
Right.
Of course, right now we're having more clients, we're growing, and it starts to be a little bit more difficult to keep it organic. But now we have the certificate, and now we have the rules about how to making it, so we can have the big picture about what it's going to cost, because that's sometimes the problem.
Right.
You have to wait, or you have to pay more because you're using people instead of chemicals, things like that. So of course it comes with a price.
Of course.
But I do believe that is obviously for the good of the tequila, and it's also for the good of the fields. So we try and work really hard about keeping ourselves authentic.
Yeah.
And we're going to continue that way.
Yeah, and that's what I loved about this place is honestly from the very beginning, like the first time I came here, I knew I was like, yes, 100%. And then I met you and everybody a part of it, your husband, I'm like, this is great. Like everything about it, just the familia, the family feel that is here is like, I really like that. You can tell that everyone that works here is happy to be here, and they're super nice and super polite, and just extremely happy to. Of
course, that's how a company should feel like, and that's of course the main idea of the tequila.
Yeah.
I mean, make people happy.
Right. Exactly. I love it. Yeah, and again, thank you so much for taking the time. Like I said before in the very beginning, I know you're extremely busy, and that we really appreciate it. And we've put you through the ringer, I think, with videos and pictures and cameras and lights. You've been handling it very gracefully, so thank you so much for that.
Thanks to you.
Yeah, can't wait to continue the productions.
My pleasure.
All right, cheers.